In less than 24 hours, the impeachment trial of President Trump will begin, and a short time ago, we got a preview of his defense. Joining me now to discuss is Democratic Congressman Steve Cohen. He serves on the Judiciary Committee. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Nice to be with you on Dr. King Day.
Oh, definitely. And I want to ask you about the president's legal team saying that the first article of impeachment, which is abuse of power, quote, alleges no crimes at all, let alone high crimes and misdemeanors as required by the Constitution. What's your reaction to that?
I'm shocked, really. We had 4 experts before our House Judiciary Committee, Professor Gerhardt, Professor Feldman, and Professor Carlin. They all agreed this was a perfect example of abuse of power as the founders would have seen it. And even the Republican witness, Professor Turley, he questioned whether the facts were sufficient but didn't doubt that the basis was there. Hardly anybody's come up with this premise, but this isn't totally surprising. The president did it. He interfered with our foreign policy to benefit himself, to jeopardize our national security, and to try to get an ally to have to investigate a political rival for his personal political gain. This is strictly wrong. It's an ultimate violation, and it's what the Founding Fathers feared for, was in foreign entanglements and interfering in our elections. So they came up with an argument that was fallacious, which is not surprising for an administration that's already committed to the president himself over 15,000 lies. So they'd come up with a legal defense that's based on just totally a lie.
In the legal brief submitted, the president's lawyers argue, quote, the president directed 3 of his most senior advisors not to comply with subpoenas seeking their testimony because they are immune from compelled testimony before Congress. Through administrations of both political parties, OLC, quote, has repeatedly provided for nearly 5 decades that Congress may not constitutionally compel the president's senior advisors to testify about their official duties. What do you say to that?
President Clinton and President Nixon both had their people testify. President Trump has stonewalled entirely. The fact is, impeachment is the most important investigation that the American public vests in Congress. And when the Congress is exercising its Article I power to look into impeachment and looking at the president's conduct, I believe the framers would have wanted the president to comply and to have his witnesses come forth. And the president, if he was entirely innocent and was fighting corruption and not looking out for testimony to hurt Joe Biden, should have wanted people to come forward. We offered in the House for the president to have his attorneys present to question folks, even have the president testify. He refused to do it. And it's clear that they don't have a real defense. They did it.
Many Democrats, we've heard many Democrats say this was bribery. That's been used as certainly rhetoric. The Constitution is very clear that that is grounds for impeachment. Why did Democrats just not cite bribery in an article of impeachment?
Well, I don't know the reason for that. It wouldn't have hurt, but the people who helped us with drawing up the articles were the most senior experts in this country on impeachment and on the Constitution. It was a student of Lawrence Tribe's who's written a book on this. Lawrence Tribe is a constitutional expert. He's a person who you'd go to. Tribe has said that Dershowitz's argument is way off base and a fallacy.
Sure, but if the article of
impeachment
were, if he's also a constitutional expert, I will say that Dershowitz certainly is. But was it a mistake to not just make it clear and say that bribery is should be the article of impeachment or one of them?
I don't think it makes any difference, Brianna. They would have argued then that it wasn't bribery. They will find any reason. This is just a fig leaf defense to give the Senate Republicans an excuse to vote to not convict this president, which they're not going to do, and to give the president's supporters on Fox News, where Dershowitz has reigned supreme and will do so after his 15 minutes of fame on Friday, his last 15 minutes on a declining lifespan, that the president did nothing wrong. This is what they're trying to do. They're preaching to their constituency. They're not trying to influence, because the votes are pretty much decided. The Republicans are not going to convict. They could see him shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue, and they would say it was okay. And basically, that's what Dershowitz is saying. You can't impeach this president because it interferes with the election results of 2016, the Electoral College results. The fact is, You know, the arguments
I will say,
that the
I don't
Democrats
actually
have
think he
made-
would agree with you on the shooting, on shooting someone and getting away with it. I actually think that's
Well, I don't know that he
counter to
wouldn't.
the
You know,
argument he's
Brianna,
making.
you give him too much. You give him
I
too
think
much
he
credit.
said,
You know, in
I
his
think
book,
he said
that,
as much. I'll double check that, but I think he said as much. That's why I say that.
Well, I'll trust you because you took him on well this weekend. But he also said in his book, according to Lawrence Tribe, that if the president decided to let the Russians have Alaska back, it'd be okay and not impeachable. And that's just hooey. And he's just gone so far to say the president can do whatever he wants. And he is. He is the Roy Cohn of this team. The president likes Roy Cohn's, and he's got him. Roy Cohn was very effective. He would do anything.
Congressman Steve Cohen, thank you so much for joining us from Memphis. We appreciate it.
Well, it's a big day in Memphis because we honor Dr. King's legacy, and we
That's right.
see the works he did to try to help people and make this nation a better world.
Yeah, such an important day
Thank you.
to acknowledge. Thank you so much for doing that on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day, sir. We'll see you soon.